Thank you very much. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm grateful and honored, and I thank God for the opportunity to speak to you. And what we're going to be doing is, I'm not the expert, you're the parent of your child. You will be going through this process as you think about the child in your life. I have two of my own who could directly call me mom, but I think the actual children who call me mom are many. There are very many more, and it's been a pleasure watching them grow through this period. And I want to especially shout out to my son who came to be my back guy behind there, and he's helping out. Thank you very much, Mwangi. And thank you to my husband and my other family members who have come and supported me through this process. All of us are on technology. Mom, dad, and their 3 babies. And when you think that you do not have 3 children, your neighbor's children are using your account. So I apologize to anybody who I'll spoil for, from henceforth. But my first experience watching Netflix was through an account that was being paid for by another parent. Parents may not quite understand how this works, but when you open that account and you can have like 5 different accounts, your children share the passwords with other people. And so we get to benefit from, your labor. But here's the thing, technology has brought us together and is all about us. As that clip said, it's about what you want. It's about what's in your mood. It's about your, anything your own. And it summarizes by saying that because having your own profile is like having your own Netflix, we've been reduced to people who want things for me. And so the technology world is communicating about things for you. They speak the language that you want. They personalize recommendations based on what you're already asking for. Many people wonder, why is it that when I go to search for something, they bring things that I like? It's because of your search history. The things you've been watching, the things you've been looking for, the things you've been looking at actually tell your history. And probably I should have a warning for parents who open YouTube accounts or, subscribe, and they think that they have YouTube for their kids, and then somehow you find people are looking at you suspiciously. Your children could be accessing pornographic sites using your passwords. Just what I'm trying to say is that everybody is involved in this murky world of technology, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I would like to say that the same sins we are judging our children for, we are guilty of. We are connected in so many ways through technology. We are living our life through technology. We shop for everything through technology. There was a time we used to shop on eBay, right? But now we have Jumia. And you can buy everything from chapati, mandazi, and skumaza, kukatakatwa. That border guy can bring it to you. Uber Eats can deliver one thing or another. So we shop online. We trade online, we invest online, we live online. We are basically doing our entire life online. But here's the thing, technology is also making us want to parent online. But that's not going to happen. You cannot parent online. All you can do is relegate your parenting to technology. So here's the thing, we are going to make mistakes in this journey, but the one thing we can't do is autocorrect parenting. Any mistakes you make as you're doing your parenting journey are going to take work to correct. And my hope is that through our conversation today, you're going to reduce the number of mistakes you're making, especially when children are growing up in this digital world. So what we're going to be having today is a walk. We'll walk into the future. Imagine what your child will be like, and then walk back to where they're at now and see how you can parent them into that future. So let's look at some apps and, do a self-assessment. So on your screens, there are some 20 apps. How would you score yourself out of 20? How many of those are you actually using? And if you're asking, what's that yellow Casper thing that's in the middle there? Your generation is not there yet. A good majority know who that little ghost is. How many have 20 out of 20? Your neighbors will look at you funny, by the way, if you put up your hand too high. Because the thing is, where do you get the time to do all of this online? All of this life online. When do you get to live life outside if you're doing this? And this is just 20. Maybe what you can do for just a minute, half a minute each, share with your neighbor the most ridiculous app that you have been tempted to download. Don't tell them whether you did or not, but the most ridiculous app that you have seen online that you are tempted to download. One day I was speaking at a local school, because like you've heard, I work with children, teenagers, and their parents and teachers. And I asked the children what their favorite YouTube channel was. And there were probably around 60 or so children in the room, between standard 6 and 8. Not one of them repeated something that another one said. So there were 60 different representations, and the only thing that was familiar to me was the word Ronaldo. Everything else was something I was hearing for the first time, because our children are still having the same individualized access. And many parents end up asking, why has it become so hard to parent children in this digital age? The simple answer is that we are more connected to the net than we are connected to the child. We take too much time on our phones, looking for information on the phone, and forget to connect with the child themselves. Emojis have replaced how we communicate. I'd like you to help me translate some emojis. I like that you're laughing. What do they say? Babies doing what? Laughing, rolling on the floor, laughing. I want to share the same message in a different way, without emojis. Let's share the clip. How many of you put your baby naked near dogs like those? Have you ever experienced a child laughing until they can't breathe? That's one of the best, should I say noises or best experiences? The difference between those two, the emojis and the video clip we have seen, is the human connection. Just a human connection. Showing you a picture of a little baby thing, round face laughing, it does not bring out the same emotion as hearing an actual baby laugh. But here's the thing, we've been reduced to communicating with emojis. Almost everything that we can say has an emoji representing it, including the one that used to be GFF. There is something that, there's like a chick and a guy who holds the head somewhere like that, right? Anything we would like to say has a pictograph or emoji that will say the same thing. And so we have cut short all our communication. We have cut short our relationships. And the unfortunate thing is that parenting is also getting cut short. We are trying to replace parenting with something else. And yet, like we said, there is no autocorrect in this process. Now there's some guy who was mentioned in the Bible. You may know him as Samuel, right? You know the story of Samuel? Young man, and he had this man in his life called Eli. And 3 times, this young man had voices in his head. Or so he thought. But he was hearing voices anyway. And he went to Eli and asked him, yes, you've called me? And Eli says, no, I did not call you, go back to sleep. He hears the voice again and asks, did you call me? No, I did not call you, go back to sleep. And the 3rd time, Eli told him, wait a minute, the next time you hear that voice, remember that? You can say, here is your servant, speak. Your servant is listening. Now let's imagine if Samuel lived in today's society. A young man going about his life, growing up. First and foremost, he may not even have an Eli to ask for information from. But one of the likely things he would do is have a smartphone that he can access the net, and he would Google and ask, how do I deal with voices in my head? Can you imagine I Googled how to deal with voices in your head? So this is what I found. It says, and I know some of you will start Googling these things. It says, tell them that you would like to wait before you do what they say. Stand up to them. Tell them they have no power over you and try to ignore their commands and threats. Try to ignore the voices you don't like and focus on the ones you find easier to listen to. Imagine Samuel having such a beginning footing with his relationship with God. How do you think his ministry would have been? And yet, that's what we are doing today. As parents, we have forgotten that we have people in our lives who can actually tell us how to do this parenting journey. The effect that technology has had on parenting is tremendous. We ask the internet for everything, and we forget that there are people in our lives who could better experience and teach us better than the net ever would. One of the effects we have on parenting is answers are at our fingertips. The same way someone would have had things about voices. Your answers are at your fingertips. You're told your baby coughs and you wonder, what's going on? Ask Google. Google tells you they have pneumonia, and off you go pumping your child with medication. A lot of the things we are doing, we are forgetting that older people who have had experience, are there for us. The mentor is out, and the search engine has replaced her in our lives. Then there is remote parenting. How is remote parenting working? We put our children on school buses and get them off for the day. Or even worse, we run away before they wake up in the morning because you don't want them to cry. People are calling their nannies in the evening to ask, can I come home? Because they don't want to disrupt the feeding program. True? If you're guilty, say, but not too loudly. So remote parenting has become, we are parenting our children over the phone. We ask teachers how they're doing. We ask the bus driver whether they're okay. We ask their nannies how they're doing. We ask other people instead of actually connecting with the child and asking them, how are you doing? You, the child, how are you doing? The other thing that we have is convenient babysitting. That young man I'm talking about at the back, when he was 4 years old, I didn't have a smartphone, he didn't have a smartphone. So guess what? If I went somewhere and he needed to sit still, I pinched him to make sure he sat still. Today's parent does what? Sticks a phone into the child's hand, mutes the sound, or puts earphones and tells them to get on with life. It has become more convenient because of technology to babysit our children. We don't have to relate with them. The other thing is it's a customized process. Everything you're searching for, because it picks your search history, customizes your parenting for you. It sort of guides you in what it is that you're going to need for that particular parent. And it's personalized based on the searches that you do. The last effect I'd like to talk about is the publicized journey. From the day babies are born today, their bare buttocks, because for some reason we find babies' bums attractive, are stuck on Facebook. They're toothless grins. These children are developing a digital footprint before they have even a chance to say whether they want it or not. And they're growing up in a public forum. This journey of parenting is being made so public and increasing the stress we end up feeling as parents because we have to show that we are doing a good job. Nobody wants to say out there in public that you're going to fail, and yet you still have to say something in public. So all these conveniences have ended up creating the eParenting that we are talking about today. The one that makes us afraid, makes us wonder, what are we going to do with all this? You confiscate a gadget and you discover, alas, these people have access in another way. Do you think that the only way your child can access Instagram is on the phone that you bought for them? No. They will access in many different ways. I have experiences with children who have been grounded, gadgets taken away, and they're kept up to date on their Snapchat accounts, Instagram, etc. And the parents, as far as the parents are concerned, they haven't touched anybody's phone. But the thing is, one of the things that happens is they even recruit their friends to keep them up to date. They don't even have to be accessing the gadget themselves. So one of the things that has happened, majority of our children have access, right? A good majority. They also have opportunities to use these gadgets. They have the same exposure. The one thing that we have control over as parents are the outcomes. We cannot control access. Once you put a gadget in a child's hand, you can't control access, but you can control the outcome. So outcomes are really an e-parenting issue. what your child finds in there. Now, one of the things that's happening to teenagers, and I talk a lot about that in the AIDS book, is the whole journey that they're going through ends up making them feel awkward. You know, their body is changing, they get clumsy. There are many things that are going on in their life. Now, if you're not talking to them as a parent, one of the things they're likely to do is Google and ask why, or what do I do with what I have? And just to give you an example, one of the questions that they may ask is, why am I feeling so awkward in my body? I don't like this or the other aspect about me. What's Google likely to tell them today? You were born in the wrong body, change it. Is that one of the likely questions? We may think that it's not here in Kenya yet, but it's catching up very quickly. They're seeking answers to life questions online because they do not have somebody to ask offline. Another thing that has come out of this experience with the internet are negative outcomes. Remember, I'm saying the outcomes are a parenting issue. And both negative and positive are a parenting issue. Some of the negative outcomes I'd like to talk about is a big one that's disturbing many parents today, and that's cyberbullying. Without getting too much into it, I want to just highlight two things that happen on the internet as far as bullying is concerned. The bully, if I may label them as a bully, actually takes that opportunity to escalate their bullying. They now have a platform where they can bully without control and without being asked by anybody why or what they should do. But here's the other thing. The victim has also found a place to revenge. So both the bully and the victim of the bullying are online, hiding behind the anonymity that internet provides and doing as much bullying as they can and as much getting back at each other as they can. The other thing that we have is internet and pornography addiction. And those things depend on an element that children have, which is curiosity. Your children are naturally curious. And so what happens is when they start from the curiosity, they realize, this is enjoyable. Remember, there are changes going on in their bodies. They watch a video and it starts making them feel good. And they don't understand what's really going on. Before you know it, or before they even know it, they're hooked. And once they're hooked, it becomes a substitute. And after that, it becomes an escape from reality. When they don't like their life, when they don't like their friends, when they don't like their parents, they will hide behind the internet and porn and other things. Now, here's the thing. The negative things make us feel bad and make us feel like victims. But I'd like us to look at the positive aspects, some positive aspects of the internet that I think we should be focusing more as parents. Because if you look at the negative, it's like saying there are lions out there and they're going to kill me, so I'm not going to get out. You end up not dealing with it, and all you do is protect your child. I want to dare us to challenge our children to do this differently. And also not just challenge them, but parent them in that direction. So imagine your child in the future and the job they're going to have, and then walk back and think, how can I prepare them for that? So one of the positive outcomes has been access to information. You do not need to go very far to get information on different things. But we are slowly mistaking access to information for knowledge and access to information for smartness. Access to information is access to information. It's not knowledge. As a parent, you know more. Even if you don't have all that information, you know more. So your role is to guide your child and the young people around you on what to do with the information that they access. The other thing is smartness. You may think that your child is smart because they're accessing the phone. One time I went to visit some friends in Tanzania, and this young girl comes and asks me for my phone, and I knew it had a passcode, and so, just let her have it. And so once she took it in, she said, I just held the screen and I saw what you do. And that was it. She was in my phone. Does that mean she's smart? Not really. I mean, once she knows that, then what? What's she going to do with the information? Smartness is about the productive outcome. That how they will use that particular information in a productive way. So the other thing that they have, the other thing our children are growing up to is the gig economy. One of the things I say in the book is please do not start a conversation with your young one by telling them when I was your age. Don't. And don't also tell them in our days. Your days are not their days. So if you want to have that shutter put between you and your child, start a conversation with in our days or when I was your age. That will shut them out immediately. And one of the things that has changed for them is the career front. They don't work forever like you do. They don't have a retirement plan. They don't sign up for more than 2 years. And you know what? The society out there is ready to receive them. Some of the things we get annoyed with our children about is they're impatient and non-committal. If you're a parent of teenager upwards, say who? You keep telling them you're so impatient, you can't wait, you can't focus, you can't do this. But maybe that's what their world needs. They need people who are going to come, do something, quickly finish and move on. They're looking for fresh ideas, fresh experiences. So how do you as a parent then equip your child to do some of these things? You're going to need to give them different skills. And one of them is collaboration. Your children will be able to work across continents without ever having met the person on the other side. They will meet on Skype, and they will meet based on the production of things they're doing. Encourage them to collaborate. Encourage them to start the collaboration right where they are, and they will grow into it as they go on. The other thing that you need to teach them is competence. Be really good in what it is that you do. Because as we know how things are going, who you know will soon not matter. It is what you can do. Your children are expected to deliver in the world that they will be going into. Help them out by teaching them how to be competent in that thing that they choose to do. Stop getting frustrated when they change their minds all the time. Make sure that they are fully competent, then allow them to change their mind. All right? Then the last thing is to understand that skill is needed more than career. Like I said earlier, they will not work forever. They're likely to have temporary jobs as opposed to long-term jobs. Help them be able to do the best thing that they can with that one job that they have. And the main thing to basically be able to do all that is to teach your child how to learn. You may wonder, how do I teach them how to learn? A little hint, boredom creates good opportunity for learning. Because when they learn how to solve their own problems, when they learn how to, do things for themselves, then you're helping them learn how to learn. The other thing that they need is self-discipline, communication skills, and decision-making skills. There's a whole list of transferable skills in the book, which I can't go over right now, but they're skills that will transcend anything that technology throws your way. Communication is communication, both verbal and non-verbal. And if they cannot communicate well offline, they will not be able to communicate well online. So teach them some of these skills as they're growing. It needs to be more than just about exams and things like that. Now, all of this will take a redefinition, rethinking of eParenting. And one of the things we have, and I call this the ultimate parenting manual, is the Bible. When people ask, what do I do with my children? I tell them, find the answers in the Bible. That is not a holiness kind of thing. I'd like us to sample some of the instructions that the internet and the tech world are following that are in that parenting manual that you seem to think is just for this Christian thing that we do. Let's have a look at Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 7. This is one of the ones that the internet is really obeying. It says, you shall teach them diligently. These are the commands. You shall teach them diligently to your children and shall talk of them when you, please say this with me, sit in your house, walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. Now, how many of you, let me start with you, and then your children, have a gadget in your hand that you basically have when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up? When we say put your gadgets away, many people say that's where my alarm clock is. When we say put your gadgets away, he said I need it for QT. True? Remember, some of you had the Bible app. Exactly. So the gadgets are here with us. And without our intentional guiding of our children, what's going to happen? The tech world will ensure that they have something when they wake up, when they sit down, when they rise, when they walk, all of that. It will make sure that they have something. And so the increase in pornographic material and other negative stuff is reaching your children directly because of how present gadgets are in their lives. So what the internet has done and what technological advances have done, they have basically made the distribution of anything more efficient, both the good and the bad. Now, you see why I'm saying the outcomes are dependent on the parent? Because even the good stuff, efficiency in distribution has increased. Access is very easy. And then, all of this has made it possible for your children to have an alternative. So if you're not there in their faces, in their ears, speaking more than the internet is, then definitely you're going to be in trouble with this. If we look at Proverbs 22:6, the tech world is using this as a foundational principle, in my opinion. It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. So what's happening is our children are being trained from when they are young. The guys in the tech world, and in business as a whole, by the way, not just the tech world, think long term. The only people who are dealing with children who are not thinking quite long term are the parents. Anything that's introduced to your children when they're young is not for when they're young. It's for when they're older. Because when they're older, it will be an automatic thing. When they're young, they're learning the process. Proverbs 22, verse 15, talks about the foolishness in your child. And it says, foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child. The rod of correction will drive it far from him. Our kids are not born very sharp. They need us. They need the Elis. They need people in their lives to guide them accordingly. And that foolishness does not go away by being rewarded. It goes away by the rod. And it's a rod of discipline, basically. Internet knows how to reward. Before we look at our children, how many of you are using the Bible app? A good majority. It's not a trick question, but here is what has happened. There's something called streaks. So many people today are making sure they at least open that app once, not to read or interact with the Word of God, just to have a non-stop streak. Just to be told that you have been doing this for the last 172 days. And you think you have been interacting with God. That's because the streak is a reward system. It's not a punishment system, it's a reward system. But foolishness will not get out of our children unless the rod is put to them. And that rod, if we can look at what the Bible says about the rod, again in Proverbs can be a parent's best friend, by the way. Proverbs 13:24. It says, he who spares his rod hates his son, but he who loves him disciplines him promptly. So those of you who, your child is throwing a tantrum in the supermarket, or your teenager is giving you attitude, or your young person is doing what, you cannot tell him, I'm going to chapper you. You're going to chapper them when? When? It says you need to discipline them promptly. Link the sin and the foolishness to the discipline. Otherwise, it's punishment. Or it's just something else that you're doing that becomes a dance between mom and dad. Between mom and child or dad and child. I watch parents telling their children, I'm going to chapper you, I'm going to beat you. And the kid looks and thinks, okay, try. Because they know you won't. Why? We are scared of our image. We are afraid of trying to beat the child. How are we going to look or what are we going to look like? And then this discipline. Why you shouldn't take it lightly is because it's a matter of life and death. Proverbs 19:18. Proverbs chapter 19, verse 18. It says, discipline your son, for in that there is hope. Do not be a willing party to his death. Basically, the foundational years is when there is still hope. That's what the little book is all about. It talks about making these decisions while they're still 0 to 6 years. What decisions are you going to make around tantrums, around lies, around consequences? How are you teaching this child before they're 6 to be the ideal 16-year-old, to be the ideal 26-year-old? How are you setting that stage from the very beginning? Note that your child cannot be disciplined offline and not online. In other words, if you discipline your child offline, it will be much easier to have the online conversation. There's no way you can expect an indisciplined person who's indisciplined in life in general to have online discipline. Because that's not possible. How you behave offline is how you go and behave online. Now, one of the saddest part about this parenting thing is that even if you do not do anything about it, there'll still be a consequence or result. There will still be an outcome. And that outcome is what I'm saying is a parenting issue. So what can we do about this? I'd like us to kind of redefine what eParenting is. Instead of thinking about it as something to do with the electronics, let's look at it from the point of view of eternity. I want to dare us to be eternity parents who think about raising a generation that will praise God in the land of the living and glorify Him for eternity. How do you bring up that child? You'll need to make certain decisions. And they're being molded by technology or they're being molded by the parent. So I want to try and suggest a few things that you can do this coming holiday. Because one of the things that's happening, parents are asking, what are we going to do? Especially the 844 parents. They're asking, what are we going to do with our children for the next 2 months? They're horrified, they're terrified, they're traumatized by the aspect of what they're going to do with their children. And all those who are 844 parents, you're allowed to shiver a little bit right now. I'd suggest you break down your child's day into chores and add some boredom hours. I have a saying that I believe in that says, a chore a day keeps the boredom away. If your child knows that they're supposed to be doing something, the boredom will go. That's a 16-year-old washing dishes. She started when she was 2. One of the things I suggest to parents who come home and they're trying to get things done, get the meal ready, and you have a small baby in the house. I don't mean small 6 months, but small 2 to 3 years old. They're already sitting on their own. Give them the garlic and ginger to pound. That's just one example. They love banging things. Why not give them something productive to bang, right? So today people are going to have garlic and ginger for dinner. But give them something to pound, and they will pound and have fun doing it. You will have bonded with your child, and when you're serving that meal, you're able to say, this baby helped me do it. It gives them significance. It starts laying the foundation of giving them a sense of identity, of they're appreciated, and they're loved, and they're noticed at home, and they're needed. So break down the child's day to chores, and add some boredom hours. Spend some extra time with them. Board games. I want to give you some samples of games that you can, not give you. I'm not giving you. I just want to show you. If you have 13 and above, this game is Taboo, the game of unspeakable fun. How many have played this game? Do you like it? Awesome. This is one of the games. There's so many games. I just want to show you that before you tell your child, take that gadget away, make it worth taking the gadget away. If you actually started playing some of these games, the gadgets would go away without you needing to talk about it, right? You may be wondering, what if I have small children? Once you're done with the biscuits, these things become very good storage. Now, anybody who's a grandmother or who has finished the parenting process, it doesn't hurt to have some of these things in your house. Because when the children come, they won't just ask you for your phone, you have something else that you can entertain them with. And these are just examples of things that you can basically have that will add value to the experience that you're having with your children. Have card games. One of the things I like about card games is that they bring out the monsters in our children. If you ever want to see how people lie, play cards, play poker with a 9-year-old, and you will realize all the honesty they've been taught by Pastor Bella in Sunday school goes out the window because they need to win the game. So play cards with a 9-year-old. All of this will add value to your life. The opportunities basically are endless. Those who have teenagers and above, encourage them to volunteer or intern in organizations. The employers who are here today, look out for these young people who have been e-parented well and give them opportunities in your places of work. It's not about paying them a salary. It's about exposing them and preparing them for eternity. So what I'd like to say is, when you look back at the baby clip that we had, both the emoji and the clip, the thing that was different was the human connection. So some of you may be sitting here and thinking, I'm not a parent. Anyway, I'm not even wanting to be one. But think about the person who's a child right now making certain technological decisions. They will be the one setting policy when you're older. 20 years from now, they'll be the one running organizations and ministries. And they will have learned to steal and do other things or to actually use technology well. So you need to be able to do that. And if you want to go and tell somebody what is the issue, go and tell them that technology is not the problem. In fact, you can practice with the person near you. Tell them technology is not the problem. Parental unavailability is. At least you guys are not afraid of saying that. Parental unavailability is actually the problem, not technology. Technology is what I like to call our frenemy. It can be your friend, it can be your enemy. It depends on how you choose to interact with it. So what I'd like to do is dare you, but before I do that, I'll just read quickly Proverbs 20, verse 11. It says, even a child is known by his actions, by whether his conduct is pure and right. What this translates to is that your child will be known by their actions. You will not be able to cover up for them online. You may hide things offline, but online, their actions will speak for them. They will say what kind of parents they have had and what kind of experiences they've been allowed to have. And so I want us to imagine, as we close, what life would be like if we use technology wisely instead of widely. If we try to use technology for what it's supposed to be, rather than as a substitute for what we are supposed to be. How many games would you play? There are many games that you would play, both in and out. There are many recipes that you would actually try out. Because you can put the phone aside. Oh, you can actually use your phone to download the recipe and then try it out. Technology is your friend. The other thing you can do is read books. Improve yourself and teach your children to improve themselves. Catch up with friends, face-to-face instead of on Facebook. Many of the things we know about our closest friends are based on the things that they have been posting online. We don't have a chance to sit with them face-to-face and actually ask, how are you doing? We need to try and change that this holiday, because for us to be able to do it, we have to model to our children what we want and expect of them. Monkey see monkey, do. And unfortunately, monkey is getting punished for doing what monkey has seen being done. True? Poor monkey. How much more fun would you have if you actually did things differently? And without the pressure of having to post it online. I keep saying swimming in that river in Shags is actually a lot of fun. It may not be one of those glamorous things that you want to post online, but it is good fun. How about trying out things and creating new memories this holiday that you don't feel the pressure of posting online? Parent your child for eternity. Why? The institution did not give birth to them, because institutions do not give birth. Churches don't give birth. Schools don't give birth. Holiday clubs don't give birth. You're the ones who give birth. So take charge and parent your child for eternity. So when you're choosing to be a certain kind of e-parent, be that e-parent who parents for eternity. Are you up for the challenge? Including for your neighbor? God bless you as you continue that journey.